My name is Jacob Barcena. Today's date is October 31st, 2025. I'll be doing my speech on bearded dragons. Bearded dragons are one of the most popular pets to be kept in the world that is a reptile. These reptiles are known for many things, such as their calm personalities, ability to recognize their owners, a unique way of communicating, such as arm waving, head bobbing, and beard puffing. My goal in this speech is to inform everybody on the background, behavior, diet, and proper care for a bearded dragon. I myself own a bearded dragon. His name is Paco. However, prior to owning Paco, I had to do so much research and so much knowledge check so I could properly care for this little guy. Because if you go online or you go to a pet shop, they'll explain that or tell you that these bearded dragons are a beginner pet. That's simply not the case. There's so much to go into owning a bearded dragon that you must be fully aware of prior to owning one. So let me go into a little bit what is needed to be known. So a little background about these bearded dragons. They're brought into the United States through a pet trade in the 1970s and 1980s. That is because they're calm, social, and easy to handle. However, they come from Australia. They thrive in arid environments and hot environments such as deserts, rocky lands, and woodlands. Reptilefiles.com mentions that they're diurnal, which means they're active during the day and spend most of their time basking in the sun. That sun is essential to them and is an absolute requirement for them to get their UVA and UVB lighting, which helps their body structure and forms their bones and keeps their skeleton forming properly. A little bit about their behaviors. As I mentioned before, the head bobbing could be multiple signs. It could be a sign of dominance, territorial, or if they have another mate, it could be a sign of showing off. If you see them waving their arms, it could be a sign of submission, kind of like waving the white flag, or it could be a sign of recognition that they're just being friendly. If you see their beard puffing, that is a sign of stress. WebMD explains that darkening of the beard is one of their main ways to express mood changes. And if you see the beard puffing, that is a strong sign that they're stressed, uncomfortable, and is a defense that they're going to start being aggressive. So if you do see that, I ask that you back away, give them their space, and let them come back out when they're ready to be approached. The diet. There's so much that goes into the diet because owning a bearded dragon means that you're also going to be owning a lot of insects. You need to be buying insects from 50 to 100 a week. As they're juveniles, you have to feed them 2 to 3 times a day, about 6 to 8 insects per feeding. As opposed to when they become adult, they are only fed roughly 2 to 3 times a week, 1 feeding of insects. And the rest they're just gonna be fed vegetables, greens. So PetMD says young dragons should eat mostly protein like cricket or dubia roaches, while adults should eat more leafy greens and veggies. So what they should be eating is high protein insects such as the crickets and dubia roaches. You need to be careful for other insects such as hornworms, waxworms, mealworms, any other type of worms, because what those worms are they're like treats. You want to give them a little bit here and there, but not often. You cannot make it their staple because they're high in fat and they can cause them to become obese. And if they become obese, it's very hard for them to lose the weight and it could be a death sentence. So be careful what you're feeding them. Habitat and lighting. As I mentioned before, the sun is crucial and a necessity for them to live a healthy and long life. Obviously, we can't keep the sun in our house, so there are other ways we can replicate that, such as a linear UVB light. What that does is that replicates the sun and provides UVB lighting to them. You also need to have 2 basking bulbs. You need to have a high wattage bulb, about 125, that keeps the tank about 80 to 100 degrees in one spot. Another spot, you need to keep another bulb about 75 watts to make it about 80 to 90 degrees. You have a hot side and a cool side. That way he can move around and go as he pleases. You'll find that he often hangs out in the hot side because he likes to bask in the sun as he does in Australia, as I mentioned before. The size of tank that you want is going to be a 4x2x2 or 120 gallon tank. You need to have a big enough tank, that way they can roam, be free, and hunt their insects, and that way they don't feel so enclosed and they don't become depressed. They are social reptiles again, so although they're captive, they don't want to feel like they have no outlet to move around and exercise. In summary, bearded dragons are calm, intelligent reptiles that depend on proper lighting, heat, diet, and space to stay healthy. Everything about their care connects back to their natural life in Australia. Being a responsible reptile owner means paying attention to their behavior and needs and everyday things like checking temperature, providing food and water. Good pet care takes effort, but when you see your bearded dragon alert, active, and comfortable in his setup, it's worth every bit of time you put into keeping them healthy and happy. Thank you.